Silence is the foundation of all great achievements. The power of restraint, of holding your tongue, of choosing your words wisely. This is the secret to unlocking everything you desire in life. My friends, we live in a world of constant noise. From the moment we wake up to the blaring of our alarm clocks, to the endless chatter of coworkers and loved ones, to the relentless stream of information from our devices. We are bombarded by sound, by words, by voices clamoring for our attention. And in this cacophony, we often feel compelled to add our own voice to the mix. We speak without thinking, we react without reflecting. We fill every moment of silence with the sound of our own opinions. But I'm here to tell you that true power lies in silence, in the spaces between words, in the pause before you speak, in the restraint that comes from truly listening and observing before offering your thoughts. Think about the most influential people you know, the true leaders, the visionaries, the ones who seem to have it all figured out. I bet if you observe them closely, you will notice they do not waste words. They speak less, but when they do speak, their words carry weight. They have mastered the art of silence. Why is this? Why does speaking less lead to getting more out of life? Let's explore this idea together. When you speak less, you listen more. And truly listening is the foundation of wisdom and understanding. When you're always talking, always trying to get your point across, you miss out on the insights and knowledge of those around you. But when you close your mouth and open your ears, you become a sponge, absorbing the collective wisdom of the world. I remember a time early in my career when I was full of opinions, always eager to share my thoughts in every meeting, every conversation. I thought this was how you proved your worth, how you showed you were smart and capable. But one day, a mentor pulled me aside and said, Wayne, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Use them in that proportion. It's a wake-up call. From that day forward, I made a conscious effort to listen more and speak less. And you know what? My relationships improved. My understanding deepened, and opportunities started coming my way that I never would have noticed if I'd been too busy talking. In the pause before you respond, your mind has the space to process, to analyze, to come up with truly innovative ideas. We live in a reactive world where we're expected to have an instant response to everything. But the greatest insights, the most revolutionary ideas, they come from deep thought and reflection. Think about the great inventors and innovators throughout history. Do you imagine them constantly chattering, always voicing half-formed ideas? No. They spent long hours in silence, in contemplation, letting their minds work through problems and come up with solutions. Einstein famously said, I think 99 times and find nothing. I stop thinking, swim in silence, and the truth comes to me. When you cultivate the habit of thinking before speaking, of really turning ideas over in your mind before giving them voice, you will find that the quality of your contribution skyrockets. You'll become known as the person who, when they do speak, always has something valuable to say. Speaking less helps. You maintain your personal power. Every time you speak, you are putting your thoughts, your energy out into the world. And while sharing can be beautiful and necessary, it can also be draining if not done mindfully. When you speak less, you conserve your energy, your ideas, your very essence. You become like a coiled spring full of potential energy, ready to release it at just the right moment for maximum impact. Think about negotiations, whether in business or in your personal life. The person who speaks less often has the upper hand. They are not revealing their card. They're not giving away their position. They are observing, gathering information, waiting for the perfect moment to make their move. I have seen this play out. Countless times in my own life and in the lives of those I've counseled. The art of strategic silence can be more powerful than the most eloquent speech. When you know you're not going to say much, you make sure that what you do say counts. Become more intentional, more precise in your communication, and precision in language leads to clarity in thought and action. In our modern world of constant communication, we lost the art of carefully chosen words. We spew out thoughts on social media. We ramble in conversations. We use 100 words when 10 would do. But imagine the power of being known as someone who only speaks when they have something truly valuable to say. Imagine the weight your words would carry. I once knew a man, a brilliant scientist who was famous for his brevity. In meetings, he would sit silently while others debated and discussed. But when he did speak, often just a sentence or two, the entire room would fall silent, hanging on his every word. His economy of language gave his words immense power and influence. When you're not constantly formulating your next statement, when you're not always waiting for your turn to talk, you can truly immerse yourself in the here and now. You notice more, you feel more, you experience life more fully. His presence, this mindfulness, is the key to true happiness and fulfillment. It allows you to fully appreciate the beauty of a sunset, to really connect with a loved one, to find joy in the simplest moments of life. And from this place of presence, of deep connection to the current moment, you'll find that opportunities and insights naturally arise. I remember a time when I was struggling with a difficult decision in my life. I had been talking over with friends and family for weeks, seeking advice, trying to think it through out loud. But the more I talked, the more confused I became. Finally, I decided to take a vow of silence for a day. I spent that day in nature, just observing, just being. And in that silence, in that presence, the answer came to me with perfect clarity. The solution had been there all along, but I couldn't hear it over the sound of my own voice. In a world where everyone's an open book, where people share every thought and feeling on social media, there's something compelling about someone who holds back, who doesn't reveal everything at once. This is not about being secretive or manipulative. It's about understanding that we are deep, complex beings, and that there's value in letting others discover our depths gradually. When you speak less, you become more interesting to others. They want to know what you're thinking. They are curious about your opinions and ideas. This can lead to deeper, more meaningful connections and relationships. I have seen this play out in both personal and professional settings. The person who doesn't feel the need to dominate every conversation, who listens more than they speak, who reveals themselves slowly over time. This is the person that others are drawn to, the person that others want to know better. Think about it. If you are known as someone who talks constantly, who always has an opinion on everything, people are likely to tune you out after a while. But if you are selective about when you speak, people will pay attention. This is particularly important when it comes to giving advice or offering criticism. If you are always telling people what to do or pointing out their faults, your words will lose their power. But if you choose your moments carefully, your advice and critiques will be much more likely to be heard and heeded. I learned this lesson the hard way in my early days as a counselor. I was so eager to help, so full of ideas and suggestions that I would overwhelm my clients with a constant stream of advice, but I noticed that very little of it seemed to stick. It wasn't until I learned to hold back, to listen more and speak less, that I started seeing real changes in the people I was trying to help. How often have you said something in the heat of the moment that you later regretted? How many arguments could have been avoided if you'd just taken a moment to think before responding? When you make a habit of speaking less, you give yourself that moment of reflection. You are less likely to blurt out hurtful words, less likely to react defensively, less likely to escalate a situation unnecessarily. This doesn't mean you become a pushover, or that you never stand up for yourself. It means you choose your battles wisely, and when you do engage, you do so from a place of calm reflection rather than a knee-jerk reaction. I remember a time when I was in a heated argument with a close friend. We were both saying hurtful things, both reacting emotionally without thinking. But then I remembered this principle: speak less, listen more. I forced myself to stop talking, to really hear what my friend was saying beneath the angry words. And in that moment of silence, the entire dynamic of our interaction changed. We were able to move from confrontation to understanding. When you're not constantly verbalizing your thoughts and opinions, you free up mental space to simply observe and absorb the world around you. You notice details you might have missed. You pick up on subtle cues in others' behavior. You see connections and patterns that might have eluded you otherwise. This keen observation is a superpower in any field. It makes you a better leader, a more insightful problem solver, a more empathetic friend. It allows you to see opportunities that others miss, to anticipate challenges before they arise, to understand people on a deeper level. I've always been fascinated by the great detectives in literature, the Sherlock Holmes, Hercule Poirot. These characters solve complex mysteries not through constant chatter, but through careful, silent observation. They see what others overlook because they're not distracted by the sound of their own voice. We can all cultivate this skill of keen observation by simply choosing to speak less and observe more. When you're not dominating every conversation, when you are not always putting your own thoughts and ideas front and center, you create opportunities for others to step up and contribute. This is particularly important if you're in a leadership position. Great leaders know that their role is not to have all the answers, but to create an environment where the best ideas can emerge from anyone in the team. By speaking less, you empower others to speak more. You create a culture of participation and collaboration rather than one of top-down dictation. I have seen this principle transform struggling teams into powerhouses of innovation. When the loudest voice in the room learns to be quiet, it's amazing what other voices will emerge to fill the silence. In a world that often rewards the loudest, most attention-grabbing voices, it can be tempting to speak just for the sake of being heard, to offer opinions on topics we do not fully understand, to pretend to have knowledge or expertise we do not really have. But when you commit to speaking less, you naturally become more authentic in your communication. You are more likely to speak from a place of true knowledge and conviction. You are less likely to get caught up in posturing or pretense. You become comfortable with saying, I do not know, or I need to think about that, instead of offering half-baked opinions. And this authenticity, this genuine presence, is far more attractive and influential than any amount of hollow chatter. I remember a conference I attended early in my career. There was a panel discussion, and most of the panelists were falling over themselves to contribute to every question, often repeating each other or offering superficial insights. But there was one panelist who spoke rarely, and only when he had something truly original to add. By the end of the session, he was the one everyone wanted to talk to, the one whose card everyone wanted. His authentic, measured contribution stood out in a sea of chatter. Words have power. They can uplift or destroy, inspire, discourage, clear, confuse. When you speak less, you become more aware of this power and more intentional about how you use it. You start to consider not just what you want to say, but how your words will be received. You become more empathetic, more considerate in your communication. You learn to choose words that heal rather than hurt, that unite rather than divide, that illuminate rather than obscure. This mindfulness extends beyond just the content of your words to their timing and delivery as well. You learn when a situation calls for speech, and when silence is the more powerful choice. You develop a sense of the right moment to offer advice, to ask a question, to share an insight. I have seen relationships transformed, conflicts resolved, and deep connections forged, all because someone learned to be more mindful of their words. It's a skill that can change not just your life, but the lives of those around you. When you aren't constantly narrating your experiences, when you're not always planning what you're going to say next, you can more fully immerse yourself in the moment. You start to notice the small details of your daily life, the play of sunlight on leaves, the subtle changes in a loved one's expression, the complex flavors in a simple meal. You become more attuned to your own thoughts and feelings, more aware of your own reactions and patterns. This increased presence can lead to a deeper, richer experience of life. It can help you to find joy in simple moments, to navigate challenges with greater equanimity, to build more meaningful connections with others. I remember a period in our life when I was constantly busy, constantly talking, constantly planning. I was successful by external measures, but I felt disconnected from myself and from the world around me. It wasn't until I learned to quiet my constant internal and external chatter that I started to truly experience the richness of life. Speaking less can actually improve your ability to communicate when you do speak. It might seem counterintuitive, but it's true. When you're not constantly exercising your speech muscles, you give yourself the opportunity to reflect on and improve your communication skills. You start to notice impact of different words and phrases. You go more attuned to nonverbal cues, both your own and others. You develop a better sense of timing and delivery. And because you are speaking less often, you are more likely to put thought and care into crafting your messages when you do speak. This can lead to more effective, more persuasive communication. You become known as someone whose words carry weight, someone who speaks with intention and impact. I have seen this in my own life and in the lives of many I have worked with. Often, the most effective communicators are not those who speak the most, but those who speak with the most intention and clarity. Speaking less can help you to develop greater emotional intelligence. When you're not constantly reacting verbally to every situation, you give yourself the space to process your emotions more fully. You become better at recognizing and managing your own feelings and at perceiving and responding to the emotions of others. This emotional intelligence is crucial in all areas of life, in personal relationships, in professional settings, in your relationship with yourself. It allows you to navigate complex social situations with grace, to resolve conflicts more effectively, to build deeper, more meaningful connections with others. I have seen people transform their lives by developing this skill. Relationships that were once fraught with misunderstanding and conflict become sources of joy and support. Professional challenges that once seemed insurmountable become opportunities for growth and success. Speaking less can help you to develop greater patience and tolerance. In a world that often demands instant responses and quick fixes, choosing to speak less is a radical act of patience. It's a declaration that you are willing to sit with discomfort, to allow situations to unfold, to give people and ideas the time and space they need to develop. This patience can be transformative. It allows you to see beyond surface level reactions to deeper truths. It helps you to avoid jumping to conclusions or making hasty judgments. It gives you the ability to tolerate ambiguity and uncertainty, a crucial skill in our complex, rapidly changing world. I remember a time when I was working with a group on a complex project. Tensions were high, and there was pressure to come up with quick solutions. But one team member consistently urged us to slow down, to speak less, and think more. His patience and restraint initially frustrated some, but ultimately led us to a far better outcome than we would achieve by rushing to fill the silence with half-formed ideas. When you're not constantly seeking validation through your words, when you are not always trying to prove yourself or justify your actions verbally, you have the opportunity to develop a more grounded, more authentic sense of who you are. You become less dependent on others' reactions and opinions. You learn to trust your own judgment, to stand firm in your convictions, even when they are not verbalized. You develop the ability to be comfortable in silence, to be at peace with yourself, without the constant need for external affirmation. This strong sense of self is the foundation of true confidence and self-esteem. It's what allows you to navigate life's challenges with grace and resilience. It's what enables you to form genuine, healthy relationships with others. I have seen this transformation in many people I have worked with over the years as they learn to speak less and listen more, both to others and to their own inner voice. They develop a quiet confidence that is far more powerful than any amount of self-promotion or verbal assertiveness. When you're not constantly verbalizing every thought and reaction, you give yourself the mental space to process information more deeply, to consider multiple perspectives, to think through the potential consequences of different choices. You become less prone to impulsive choices and more thoughtful in your approach. This measured decision-making process often leads to better outcomes both in your personal life and in professional settings. I have witnessed countless individuals transform their lives by simply pausing before making important decisions, by speaking less and reflecting more. They have avoided costly mistakes and seized opportunities they might have otherwise missed. When you're not constantly verbalizing your thoughts, you allow your mind to wander, to make unexpected connections, to explore new ideas without the pressure of immediate articulation. This mental space is fertile ground for creativity and innovation. Many great thinkers and artists throughout history have recognized the power of silence in fostering creativity. They have cultivated practices of solitude and reflection, understanding that their best ideas often emerge not in the clamor of conversation, but in the quiet moments of contemplation. I remember a period in my own life when I felt creatively blocked. I was constantly talking about my ideas, seeking feedback, trying to verbalize half-formed concepts. It wasn't until I stepped back, reduced my verbal output, and allowed myself periods of silence and reflection that my creativity began to flow again. It might sound surprising, but it's true. Constant talking can be physically draining. It can strain your vocal cords, increase tension in your body, and even elevate your blood pressure. By speaking less, you give your body a chance to relax and recover. Moreover, the practice of speaking less often goes hand in hand with other beneficial practices like mindfulness and meditation. These practices have been shown to have numerous health benefits, from reducing stress to improving sleep quality to boosting immune function. I have seen people transform not just their mental and emotional states, but their physical health as well by embracing the practice of speaking less. They report feeling more energized, more relaxed, and overall healthier. When you're not focused on formulating your response or waiting for your turn to speak, you can truly tune in to what others are saying. You start to hear not just the words, but the emotions behind them, the unspoken messages, the subtle nuances of communication. This deep listening is a gift, both to yourself and to others. It allows you to understand people on a profound level, to build stronger relationships, to navigate complex social situations with grace and empathy. I've seen relationships transform in families, in workplaces, in communities, when people learn to listen more and speak less. Conflicts that seem intractable are resolved. Connections that seemed impossible are forged, all through the power of truly listening. Wisdom is not just about accumulating knowledge. It's about understanding when to apply that knowledge, when to speak and when to remain silent, when to act and when to observe. By speaking less, you create the space for this deeper understanding to develop. You start to recognize patterns in human behavior, to see the long-term consequences of actions, to understand the complexities of situations beyond surface-level appearances. This wisdom allows you to navigate life with greater ease and effectiveness, to make better decisions, and to offer more meaningful support to others. I've watched people grow in wisdom over the years, and invariably, this growth is accompanied by a decrease in unnecessary speech. They become more thoughtful, more measured in their words and actions, more impactful in their interactions with others. Speaking less can help you become more influential. It might seem counterintuitive. Surely to influence others, we need to speak more, not less. But in reality, the opposite is often true. When you speak less, but make your words count, people are more likely to listen when you do speak. You develop a reputation as someone who doesn't waste words, who only speaks when they have something valuable to contribute. This reputation gives your words weight and impact. People learn to pay attention when you speak because they know it will be worthwhile. I have seen this principle at work in boardrooms and classrooms, in families and communities. The person who speaks least often becomes the one whose opinion is most eagerly sought, whose words carry the most influence. When you're not constantly reacting verbally to every situation, you give yourself the opportunity to develop inner strength and stability. You become less rattled by external events, less swayed by others' opinions, more grounded in your own sense of self. This resilience is crucial in navigating life's inevitable ups and downs. It allows you to maintain your equilibrium in the face of challenges, to bounce back from setbacks, to stay true to your values and goals, even when faced with opposition or difficulty. I have worked with many people over the years who have transformed their lives by developing this inner resilience. They've gone from being constantly buffeted by life's storms to standing firm in the face of adversity, all by learning to speak less and cultivate inner strength. Speaking less can help you to become more charismatic. Again, this might seem counterintuitive. We often think of charismatic people as great talkers, able to captivate an audience with their words. But true charisma is about more than just talking. It's about presence, about the energy you bring to interactions, about your ability to connect with others on a deep level. When you speak less, you often develop a quiet charisma that can be more powerful than the attention-grabbing variety. You become someone who draws others in, not through the force of your words, but through the strength of your presence. I've seen this type of charisma at work in leaders across various fields, in business, in politics, in spiritual communities. These leaders do not need to dominate conversations or make grand speeches to be influential. Their quiet presence, their thoughtful words, their deep listening These are what make them truly charismatic and influential. Speaking less can help you to become more productive. When you are not constantly engaged in conversation or verbal processing, you free up mental energy and time for focused work. You become better able to enter a state of flow where you are fully immersed in a task and operating at peak efficiency. Moreover, by speaking less in meetings and other group settings, you can help to create a more efficient, productive environment for everyone. Instead of long, but rambling discussions where everyone feels the need to contribute, you can foster an atmosphere where only the most relevant, well thought out ideas are shared. I've seen teams and organizations dramatically increase their productivity by adopting a culture of speaking less and listening more. Meetings become shorter and more effective. Projects are completed more quickly and with better results, and individuals find themselves able to accomplish more in less time. Speaking less can help you to develop greater spiritual awareness. Many spiritual traditions emphasize the importance of silence and contemplation in developing a deeper connection with oneself, with others, and with the universe at large. When you speak less, you create space for this deeper awareness to develop. You become more attuned to the present moment, more aware of the interconnectedness of all things, more open to experiences of transcendence and awe. I have witnessed profound spiritual transformations in people who have embraced the practice of speaking less. They report feeling more connected, more at peace, more in tune with their purpose and place in the world. When you're not constantly trying to impart information or give advice, you create space for others to learn and grow on their own terms. You become more adept at asking powerful questions, at guiding rather than dictating, at creating environments where others can discover their own insights and solutions. This approach to teaching and mentoring is often far more effective than a more directive, talk-heavy style. It empowers others to take ownership of their learning and growth, to develop their own critical thinking skills, to find solutions that truly work for them. I've seen educators and mentors transform their practice by adopting this approach. Their students and mentees become more engaged, more motivated, and ultimately more successful. When you're not constantly verbalizing your thoughts and opinions, you become more open to changing your mind, to seeing things from different perspectives, to adapting to new situations and information. This flexibility is crucial in our rapidly changing world. It allows you to navigate uncertainty with grace, to seize new opportunities as they arise, to continuously learn and grow throughout your life. I've worked with many individuals who have transformed their careers and personal lives by developing this adaptability. They have gone from being rigid and set in their ways to being open, flexible, and able to thrive in a variety of situations. Speaking less can help you to develop a greater appreciation for the power of silence in our noisy, busy world. Silence has become a rare and precious commodity. But it's in silence that we often find our greatest insights, our deepest connections, our most profound experiences. When you learn to speak less, you also learn to appreciate these moments of silence. You start to seek them out, to create space for them in your life. You discover that silence is not empty. It's full of possibility, of potential, of peace. I've seen people transform their entire outlook on life by learning to appreciate and cultivate silence. They find a sense of peace and contentment no amount of talking or external stimulation could provide. My friends, the power of speaking less is truly transformative. It's not about becoming mute or withdrawing from the world. It's about being more intentional with your words, more present in your interactions, more thoughtful in your approach to life. By speaking less, you open yourself up to a world of possibilities. You become a better listener, a clearer thinker, a more impactful communicator. You develop greater wisdom, stronger relationships, and a deeper connection with yourself and the world around you. So I challenge you, starting today, to experiment with speaking less. Pay attention to how it changes your interactions, your thought patterns, your experiences. Notice how it affects your relationships, your work, your inner state. You remember, every word you do not say is an opportunity to listen, to reflect, to grow. Every moment of silence is a gift of space, of potential, of peace. Embrace this power of speaking less and watch as it transforms every aspect of your life. The path to everything you desire: success, fulfillment, peace, connection. It all begins with the simple act of closing your mouth and opening your mind and heart. Thank you for listening. Go forth and discover the power of your own silence.